Hey everybody, and welcome back to some more City Skylines Mass Transit. We're back here in Cafetropolis with our blimps, letting the public know that books are the way to wisdom with our new educational blimps that we put into effect at the end of last episode, as well as our ferries that we were also working on at the end of last episode as well. Now today, what I want to start working on is a brand new town up here that's going to kind of be our main city within the city, if that makes sense. We've got a couple of smaller towns, Cappuccino, Toasttown, and Mom's Spaghetti kind of surrounding it, but I want to have one big central city that's going to go on the riverbank up here. Now, in order to get that done, I think the first thing that we should probably do is move some of our sewage just a little bit further down so that when people do drive over the bridges that we're going to have over the lakes here, or if someone wants to get, say, the ferry from Mom's Spaghetti all the way down and into our new town that we're going to set up, they don't have to drive through, you know, actual sewage and garbage in the river. So we'll put these down here. We do want to make sure we hook these up to the system like so, and then also let's not forget to give them power, otherwise people will get very angry very quickly. I'm not going to put that there because I do want to have kind of a roadside river a little bit later on in today's episode, and so for now we're going to do something like this. We'll probably redo that once we've actually got some buildings here, because we won't need such a long line, and I also do want to kind of put some stuff here where we currently have pylons, but for the time being that should get power over to our drain pipes. And before we start working too hard on setting up our new city over here, I do want to try and nip the garbage problem in the butt, because we've got four, I think, in total, maybe five. Oh no, we've got five of these landfill sites in total. We've got three over here, one over here, and one over here. And of those five, only two of them are not just completely full to the brim. And so, the first thing that we're going to do in today's episode is throw down a couple of these newly unlocked incineration plants, which should hopefully allow us to eventually kind of get rid of these landfill sites altogether and just burn all of our excess waste. So I'm thinking of putting this here, but I think that it will very slightly pollute the ground kind of beneath these houses. And so what I might do instead is put down maybe like one or two over here like that, and then maybe also throw one down over here as well. I don't really want to have garbage here, but for the time being, it's really the only place where we can put the garbage buildings to where Cappuccino will actually get its garbage collected, and so hopefully that will stop any problems arising. Let's make sure that we do hook up these new incineration plants with water. I don't think we need to hook these up with power. I'm fairly certain that they actually emit power. Yeah, you can see there's like a little bubble of power around the incineration plants, so I'm fairly certain that just by burning all of the garbage, that actually produces a little bit of excess power as well. Does this one have water? It does. Good stuff, and we should probably put maybe one more down over here. They are a little bit expensive, but you know what, sure, we'll get rid of just a couple of industrial buildings right about there next to our oil power plant to make room for just a little bit more garbage disposal. And hopefully that shouldn't be too big of a deal, because during the last episode we did unlock high density residential, high density commercial, and office zoning, so that now instead of having to put down these industrial zones whenever people want industry work, we can now throw down offices, which are a lot better in terms of pollution. They don't cause pollution on the ground, but they do require education, and they do take up an awful lot of space. I'm not quite sure if they just hire fewer people or what, but I feel like whenever I start getting into offices, I need so many offices to quench the demand for industry. But for the time being, let's come back over here to the river. You can see already most of the sewage and polluted water has kind of been pushed downstream towards this area over here. We do still have ferries that have to drive through it in order to get to us. Can people get to us through those rocks? I don't know, maybe not, but that ferry did kind of just pass through there. That it looked like it wanted to come in, but then decided against it. I'm not quite sure. We should probably set up some kind of cargo station for ferries to come in and drop stuff off, and for people to leave as well at some point in the near future. But we're getting off track. Let me grab a couple of roads here. So I'm not quite sure what shape the city is going to take in its final form, so I'm not quite sure if we're going to get like a food-shaped city. I'm sure we can make it look like one in the future, but my plan for the time being is to get a nice wide 6-lane road. I think we'll go with the 6-lane road with trees just to make the capital look a little bit nicer, and then what we'll do is we'll get kind of a curved road, because the bank here does have an ever so slight kind of curve to it. And I'm not quite sure if we're going to use all of this. I do want to kind of make sure that we've got a little bit of space to build kind of on the riverfront here, because I do also want to set up kind of a leisure specialized commercial zone on the riverfront. But we'll do this, we'll kind of bring it round, we'll bring it in just a little bit, and I think we'll have it kind of go across, maybe even a little bit more, and maybe a bit less, like that. Sure, that's kind of more straight than I intended it to be. Actually, it might be completely straight, but we'll get rid of a few of these roads here, and then we're going to do the exact same thing on the opposite side, like so. And then once we've got that done, I am going to press play real quick here. I'm going to have it go probably at speed 2, because we are going to spend quite a bit of money here building the city, and I do want to make sure that the rest of our towns continue to make money whilst we do so. We do want to keep an eye on this every so often, because we don't want things to get out of hand whilst we're kind of busy over here. But what I want to do now, before we expand out and start putting down residential zones or commercial zones or anything like that, I want to make sure that we've got public transport at the core of our city kind of already figured out. And so if we go over to the public transport tab, one thing that we're definitely going to have is a ferry system that allows people to come from Mom Spaghetti, Cappuccino, from Toast Town, around, down, along the main river, and then into the new capital. And so what I think I might do here is actually throw down a ferry and bus exchange stop, which is going to allow people to arrive by ferry, so they can drive down by ferry, get off of the ferry, and then get on a bus to go in and around the capital on either side here. So I think what I might do, unfortunately, this road is a bit of a pain to deal with, but I think what we might do here is place it down somewhere kind of like... Oh, it keeps tilting. Somewhere kind of like, if I can get it to line up nicely, that. And so once we've got something that looks a little bit like that, it is going to be a bit of a pain to connect this up. Actually, I don't think that that is going to work out too well, because I think the problem that's going to arise here, especially if we do something like this and like this, is that we might see an awful lot of buses getting stuck on this road here. Now, unfortunately, to the best of my knowledge, you can't upgrade the road that's attached to this station, which I feel like is a bit of a mistake from a game design standpoint, because it would be very nice to be able to just kind of have this ferry here connect directly up to this road, or maybe just upgrade this road here to a 6-lane road so the cars can kind of drive straight past it, but unfortunately we can't. And so for now, I guess I will leave this like that. If it becomes a really big issue, then we can probably get rid of it or make it just a normal ferry stop and have a separate bus station kind of just across the road. But now that we have that down, we can go ahead and hook that up to the rest of the ferry network like so. And then very quickly here, we'll have a line that goes from this stop all the way over to here, and then from here back and around to here as well. And I think we might also want to have a line that goes straight from Mom Spaghetti past Cappuccino along to here and then back again, just in case people kind of don't want to stop and get off at this this ferry stop. I feel like that makes quite a bit of sense. And then as for other public transport forms, we'll set up the subway ones. We've got all of the stuff in and around, and we know where kind of the heavy traffic spots are. And again, just like we've done in Mom Spaghetti, we'll have the metro or the subway, or whatever you want to call it, be just a way of getting in and around this one town. We won't use it to get from town to town within our big city, if that makes sense. Buses, of course, will take people where the metro can't. We probably won't use any trams for the main city. I think we'll keep our one kind of main tram line going across here, and I might bend it if we put more smaller towns kind of around the outskirts. We might use the trams as a way of getting to the smaller towns as opposed to going through the city. I'm not quite sure. And then at some point in the fairly near future, we should unlock the monorail once we reach a population of 12,000, which I intend to use to get people kind of long distance from either side of the city. I want to have like a big monorail line that goes through the middle, and then maybe even around the outsides as well, because one thing that I do want to do here is have the city kind of be circular, or even maybe like a slightly ovalish shape. And so my plan is to have something that goes a little bit kind of like this, and then comes out again kind of like that. It's a bit of a weird shape, and that was not at all perfectly symmetrical, but I don't want to have to spend like 30 minutes here trying to make this as symmetrical as possible. And so for the time being, I'm just going to have this kind of come out again. I'm going to pause real quick, so we're going to break these lines, and people are going to start complaining about sewage fairly quickly here. And I feel like I need to extend this road out here just a little bit more, kind of have it come along like that. But unfortunately we can't because of the water drain pipe, which I also can't move too much farther down. I guess we could move it to the other side like this and like this, and then connect those up with water again like so. I shouldn't forget about power. That definitely does need power, but just for the sake of a little bit of symmetry here, because I want that to connect up kind of right about there, so it looks like it could in theory form up an actual oval shape here, and then we'll have that run around and connect up right about there. We'll get rid of the little bits on either side. It looks actually a little bit horrible. Actually, you know what? Hold on. I'm going to get rid of pretty much all of this, because one thing that I did do between episodes is I installed the mod that would allow us to get rid, not get rid of, but kind of lessen these big hills that we have over here. So I'll explain in a second. Let me quickly hook these guys back up to power, because this is going to cost us quite a bit of money. So I'm going to speed things up a fair bit here. Do we have access to that third loan yet? We do not. We can't get the $200,000 loan, and in fact, we've still got the $60,000 loan that we have to pay back. But by default, also, let me quickly do, I guess, something like this as well. But by default, we can go over to the landscaping tab, and we can ever so slightly tweak the landscape. Now, in the default game, you can't move that much land at once before you get the too much soil. Like the notification you'll see at the top here, it says soil availability, and I think if we were to start, let me turn down the strength a bit here. If we were to start getting rid of this, normally what happens is you end up with too much soil and you can no longer do any more work. It's very expensive work, and so we do have to kind of keep in mind that we are spending a good deal of money here. Like I just spent 11,000 getting rid of that, and I created this horrible looking hole that I didn't want to create. But the mod that I've installed basically allows us to do infinite landscaping, so we don't have to worry about how much soil we have kind of around us. Right now I'm just kind of smoothing this out because I don't want those really harsh inclines like we had a second ago. I might also take care of this like monstrosity a little bit at some point in the near future, but it is very expensive to do so. It's not that expensive to kind of level it out or smooth it like I'm doing right now, and you know what, I'm going to try and make this just a little bit stronger in terms of smoothness. But when it comes to moving large amounts, like for example, if we were trying to lower the terrain, it becomes very expensive. Whoa! People are complaining about... What? Oh, I connected it up here and that's not even... Okay, hold on. Let's very quickly take out a loan for 20,000, and then let's very, very quickly here connect that up like so. That should bring the sewage back online, and people should hopefully stop complaining about that very, very quickly. There we go. Flipping heck, that didn't half scare me for a second. But now that's all done, I think I will hold off on building this kind of second half of the oval here until we've got enough money to get rid of some of these bigger hills. And instead, for the time being, what we'll do is we'll just set up a couple of bridges that are going to go from one side of the city over to the other. We don't have enough money, so let me, I was gonna say increase taxes, but I think already we're charging the highest amount for taxes. We could bump up the tax for commercial and industry, I guess, a little bit to try and squeeze out just a bit more money, but we are not in a great place financially right now. And also, it's not like we could just throw down a bunch of residential over here just yet, because we don't have any kind of highway that connects up to the main city yet. And so what I think I'm gonna do, just as kind of a temporary measure, is extend out this road here along and connect it up like that. Now this road is not going to be permanent whatsoever, because of course I would rather have a highway that connects up to the main city instead of having people come off the highway and causing a huge amount of congestion in Mom Spaghetti and on this little like roundabout that we've created. And so in the future, my plan is to have another one of these three-way intersections that's going to go kind of right about probably maybe like here possibly, and then we'll connect up the highway and then have it go round and connect up there, and then of course we'll have it continue on up over to here and then connect down to the main city. At least that's my plan. It might change in the near future. But whilst we work on solving our monetary crisis, let me quickly kind of hook up this whole area here with water and get a couple of residential buildings kind of up and running. I do want to get some bridges in if possible, because I'd like people to be able to use this ferry system kind of as soon as possible. Now we do need to make sure that this kind of goes up a little bit to make room for the ferries, because you can see right now it's blocked by the ferry. For some weird reason, we can have this, and I guess that works. I guess that will do for now. I do want to have more bridges in the future. Like we might have one here and then a few more further down. But again, for now, just to save a little bit of money, let's grab, I guess, the 2-lane roads with trees to kind of keep it in theme with everything else. And just like with all the other cities, I think in my capital here, I am going to have kind of a no straight roads policy. I'm not completely against straight roads. We might, in fact, you know, have like a few of them that go maybe like this and across and like that potentially. That's a weird looking road, but I kind of like it to just look a little bit more messy than your standard kind of block city. So let me quickly go ahead and fill in all of these lines. And not too long later, we've got a bit of a monstrosity here. I'm really not a fan of the fact that I couldn't get this road here to go in a straight line because the space there apparently is already occupied. But my plan here is to have this kind of be the main road that goes through the center of both kind of halves of the city. And so now we've got this up, but let me start throwing down a little bit of high density residential just to kind of quench a bit of that demand that we've got for residential right now. And as I mentioned a second ago, what I want to do with the main road kind of coming down here that's on the front of the river is set up a brand new district that's going to look a little bit like this. Now, I don't want to go into the residential area where possible, and I really don't need to go that far into the water either. So I could probably go with this medium-sized brush and then kind of get rid of what we don't need in a second. But I want all of the riverfront here to be leisure specialized. So we'll set that up as a leisure specialized area. And before we continue with that, let me quickly hook up this like that to water. And let's also make sure that everybody here has access to power as well, like that. Those pylons are a little bit hideous, but we can fix that in the near future. So does that nicely correlate with where the buildings are going to go? I think it does. It could maybe do with being a little bit wider at some points, but we can tweak that a little bit later on down the line. And so for now, all we're going to do is we're going to have some nice high density commercial taking up the front of the river here that's specialized to leisure. And then we'll also fill in just more of this area around here with residential. And then what we'll probably do is have the other half here. We'll do a similar thing. We'll probably have commercial along the riverfront, but then we'll have the rest of it probably fill out with offices once we start getting more demand for industrial from all the people that move in around here. Quick check how we're doing on education. Not the best, so we will throw down a primary school and also a high school to cope with the capacity and also to incentivize people to move around here as well, because people do love living in areas that have schools. And then at some point, I would like to throw down a full-sized hospital, a full-sized fire station, and a full-sized police station in this city as well. But for the time being, we can't afford those, both in terms of money, and also I don't think we'll be able to afford them in terms of how much they would take away from our weekly income. And so for now, I don't think we're going to put anything down here. They seem fine. If they start complaining about crime or health, then we'll obviously do something about it. But for the time being, we'll leave it like that. I think it's probably worth the money to put down another incineration plant there. Again, I don't like it being quite so close because it does stop us building residential here, but for the time being, I don't want garbage trucks to have to come from all the way over here or over here to get to the main city. And so I'll throw down one incineration plant for now. We'll also get rid of all of our traffic lights to make traffic move just a little bit smoother. We are already seeing crime as a problem, and so you know what, we'll throw down one small police station right about there, and we'll upgrade it to one of the larger ones in the future. And we're still getting a bunch of demand for residential, so let's kind of fill in all of these little side roads. And of course, as soon as I said I don't want to put down any of these facilities, like we get a fire, we have people complaining about burglaries, flipping heck, but we'll throw down some more of these real quick. We can't afford to put down a fire station just yet, so there's not much I can do about that building that's on fire. I will put down a fire station in just a second once we've got the money to do so, but for now, let me just quickly fill in all of these areas like this and like this, up to here, and then down like that. And I'll probably fill in the edges as well, actually, at some point. We might also have these areas kind of on the main road be high-density residential as well. I'm not quite sure. But do we have what it takes to make the fire station? We do. We'll throw down one of those like that as well. Should make everybody quite happy. So that's the kind of the main idea of what I want the new city to be. We haven't got as far as I would have liked to have gotten in today's episode. We hit a couple of monetary issues that we're going to have to work out over the coming episodes, but I want to have a big area over here for high density residential, try and push our population up to that 12,000 that we're almost at. Once we've done that, we'll set up a monorail that goes kind of through this main road of the city here, allowing people who are in the residential area to get across the bridge and over into the industrial area, which is going to be full of offices. We'll also probably at the start of next episode start working on setting up bus lines that take people from this ferry around to other parts of the city. And also, I do want to make the city kind of bigger than it already is. I know we've got this space here, and there we go, we became a small city. But the space here and here is kind of just the beginning. It's going to be like the central, I guess, downtown area of where our city's going to be, and then we'll expand out over here and over here at some point in the future as well, once we have the money to do so, and also to get rid of these big heaps. And also, something that people did point out in the comment section that I do want to implement at some point in the very near future is the fact that ferries can actually go down canals. And so what I think I'm going to do is set up a couple of maybe these like medium canals that kind of comes in. I'm not quite sure how I'll do it yet. I might go kind of make a bit of a square like this and just have a little town enclosed within canals, but we can move the ferry stop here much further up and allow people from Toast Town to get on the ferry without having to take the dedicated bus that we set up to bring them all the way down and around to the ferry stop. And so I'll probably start looking into canals at some point in the near future as well. Is that new? I've pressed a button that is showing me the underground roads. I quite like it, but I have absolutely no idea what I've pressed. Also, our blimps have gone offline because they are not connected to power anymore, which is not ever a good thing. So let me quickly do that. But yeah, next episode we'll come back, we'll expand out more of this this big city. We'll set up an actual highway that connects to it so that people don't have to use this road here, which is kind of just a makeshift highway for the time being. We'll expand it out, we'll get more offices, we'll get more high density residential. We might tinker around with setting up a little canal town in the next episode as well. But for now, guys, if you did enjoy the video, be sure to hit like. It really does help out a lot. Leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys next time.